a conference to deal with a number of issues that are making their way in the public space. And of course, it is our considered view that some of these issues could have far-reaching implications if they're not handled properly and contextualized in the manner in which they should be. The first area I want to talk to is the issue of political statements by political leaders. We have noted with serious concern recklessness and inflammatory statements that have been ascribed to leaders of some political parties. Whilst everyone, and it should be noted that we all have a right to freedom of speech, and would like to point out that that particular right in itself is not so absolute and has limitations, especially in the case where such utterances have a potential of plunging the country into chaos. And we indeed, in this regard, would like to confirm that a case has been opened and has been lodged at our Hillbrow police station against the leader of the economic freedom fighters regarding a statement allegedly for taking up arms against the state, and a due process of investigation is to follow. We would like to appeal to all our people that in the exercise of our rights we need to show responsibility, and we need to refrain from using the genuine grievances that are afflicting various communities to drive narrow political agendas that have the potential to destabilize the country. On the question of the Freedom Day celebrations and the local government elections, it would be noted that tomorrow is our national holiday, the Freedom Day, and celebrations are being held right across the country. And ourselves, as the South African Police Service, are on the ground to ensure that all celebrations, wherever they are, have got to proceed peacefully. And we are aware that a number of organizations and entities have decided to use this day to take to the streets to express themselves. And on our part, as the police, we will ensure that all these activities proceed smoothly and that all people have got to be protected. But we would also like to warn that those that are out to cause chaos, that our police will not stand by and allow them to tarnish such an important day in our calendar and in our history. We have already successfully policed the manifestos for local government elections to be held in August this year by different political parties. We did so for the African National Congress, we did so for the Democratic Alliance, we also did so for the United Democratic Movement. We're also ready for the EFF launch this weekend. And again, we would like to appeal to all leaders and law-abiding citizens to conduct their celebrations tomorrow in a responsible way, noting that this freedom that we're celebrating tomorrow and at any other given point was certainly not free. We're also pleased with the role that the police have played in ensuring that the two registration weekends went off with very few incidents. Plans are afoot to ensure that the actual elections in August are conducted smoothly. The third point we would also like to address with you is regarding the issue of a public spat between Major General Viri in the Western Cape and MEC Plateau, also in the same province, the Western Cape. And we have noted with grave concern the public spat between the Deputy Provincial Commissioner for Detectives, Major General Viri, and the MEC for Safety in the Western Cape, Mr. Dan Plato. Certainly, this kind of public spat does not inspire confidence, and we have, in this regard, appointed the Divisional Commissioner at the national level for Detectives, Lieutenant General Ngomo, to speedily investigate the allegations that have made their way into the public space. But in this regard, we have also engaged with both MEC Plato and General Viri, and both of them have agreed to not further communicate on the matter and allow the investigation to take its course. And we believe that's the responsible way of handling this particular matter. On the issue of police killings, the Minister of Police and the Acting National Commissioner have expressed their concern over the escalating attacks on police officials. We also note that our members have begun to embark on increased methods to protect themselves on duty, especially the usage of bulletproof vests, which have seen more than, in fact, which have seen more of the usage at an increased level, including other measures, of course, to deal with the issue of safety for our members at work. We have also, as the police noted, an unfortunate trend whereby no witnesses from communities does come forward with information on these dastardly acts. And in 2 attacks in the Western Cape, police are struggling to get community members to not only support the bereaved families, but also seem reluctant to give and volunteer information to the police. We call upon communities to be active partners in helping the police to fight crime and corruption. And in this regard, we also have an undertaking from MEC Plateau, who will also be part of some of the activities this weekend, that one of the focal points will be the question of community mobilization to be in partnership with the police in the fight against crime. Now, in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask the Acting National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Phahlane, to take us through one of the issues that has been quite topical these days, and I'm told there have been write-ups as well as talk shows about the issue of police training. And we would want to take this opportunity to clarify the actual structure when it relates to the matter of training our police in South Africa. General.
Thanks, Minister. Good afternoon. Much has been said about the supposed cutting of the training period for new recruits in the South African Police Service. Unfortunately, this has been wrongly communicated because in reality the new training will better equip the new recruits than disadvantage them. In actual fact, the community will benefit more from a better trained police person at the end of their training period. The training remains over the same period as before, 24 months. Recruits will spend the first month at a police station so that they become familiar with the environment of policing. So following the process of enlisting them, we place them at the police station. They then get exposed to the various registers, the functioning of the police station, and when they get to college, they do not only get to interface with the registers and police processes at that point. They go into college better equipped, better understanding what the police station is about. And that has happened with the group that we have taken into college as from the beginning of this month of April. Throughout the month of March, these new recruits were at stations across the country. This will equip them with administrative skills of what exactly happens at a police station before they go to the academy for 8 months of intensive training. The recruits will then go on field training as constables instead of just being trainees for a period of 12 months, which will also serve as a probationary period. Members of the media will recall that over December period, we deployed trainees who were still under training. There was a lot said about that deployment, and it has been proven that it was the right decision They were very effective, very efficient in supporting the police in the work that they did. Now, let me just, in brief, make a comparison between the program before the 1st of April and the program that we are running now. Because the suggestion out there is that we have reduced a 24-month training to 8 months, which is not correct. First, the program that we ran until 2015, which is a 24-month program, there was no induction of trainees at police station level. So they were never taken to a police station before they went into college. Secondly, academy phase, in other words, from when they are in the college, they will spend 10 months in the college focused on theory. Weekends were excluded for training purposes. Field training development phase, which was 12 months, focused on practical training at stations. Now, how it worked is the trainees went into college for 10 months. After 10 months, they will go into what we call a recess period, 10 days, and then they proceed on field training at a station. They will go there as a group because it is a station which had designated field training officers. They will spend 12 months. At the end of the 12-month period, they go back to college for 2 months for final assessment. In the training that they participated in up to 2015, they were only exposed to what we call first responder to crowd management for 2 days. I think this is very critical. First responder for crowd management for 2 days. Then they did basic tactical techniques which were included in the program. What is different from that program to the program that they are being subjected to now? The training which commenced now in April will run over 21 months. So literally, it's 3 months down, but there are more benefits in this regard. Induction of trainees includes practical placement at station. I've already said that once they are recruited, before they go into college, they are deployed at station for them to gain exposure into the policing environment, get familiarized with the various registers and the functioning of a police station, so they don't get to hear about, for example, an occurrence book only when a trainer is training them. They have seen it, they have done it when they were at station. In comparison to the 2015 program, which was 10 months theory, they get exposed to 8 months theory and practical exposure at police station under mentorship of a trainer. So it is not just a question of people in a classroom, someone just telling them about policing. It's a combination of theory and practical exposure. Weekends are included for training purposes compared to that program where weekends were not included. Probation period is 12 months, during which they perform operational duties. Now, we have said in the program that ran up to 2015, it was field training, which had practical training at station. Here, we talk of probation period performing operational duties. Crowd management. Now, this is very important. I said in that program, the first responder to crowd management was 2 days. In this program, crowd management is 3 weeks. And in the program that ran up to 2015, I said basic tactical techniques are included. In this program, we offer advanced tactical techniques. I thought that it is important that this become visible to all of us, for you to understand that it is not merely the so-called cutting from 24 months to 18 months. We went through the exercise of evaluating the program that was running. We asked ourselves many questions, which questions were also asked by experts out there as to what is the quality of training. Amongst others, this question arises at all times when a police person is being killed. We responded accordingly to say we are going to review the program to make sure that they are equipped to deal with the situation that they are confronted with. Now, who best is positioned to articulate on this issue than the managers that have participated in training program? The head of the training division is Lieutenant General Mukwanazi, one of our best trained in this organization, who is leading that particular environment. And we have deployed him precisely in that environment to make sure that the people that we are training are trained at the level where they are operationally ready and geared to address policing challenges that they are equipped of. General Cruiser used to be the divisional commissioner training. He could not have simply said yes to this program, because this is a program that was presented to management on what is it that need to be revised. And we always, when we were in the training environment, were of the view that the program that we were offering then over a 6-month period was to be offered over an 8-month period to give us enough time to properly equip the members to do what policing demands from them. And we are doing exactly that. Now, I'm just going to make a brief comparison with our program, which I'm saying it is 21 months, to what is happening in other countries. If we take countries like the United Kingdom, their training is over 2 years, probation inclusive of 38 weeks of training. New York, 16 weeks. Los Angeles, 6 months. Namibia, 6 months. Here in South Africa, we are talking of first a month or two at the station, 8 months academy phase, 1 month introduction, and 12 months probation. That brings you to a total of 21 months. Now, we truly do not understand the story which is running, which is saying police training has been slashed from 24 months to 8 months. It's an uninformed story. These are the facts, and we will never lower the standard of training, because police people in this country are faced with challenges and demands that no other country is faced with. So we have to make it our business to make sure that our members are well trained to confront the situations. Now, there is also a story going around about no consultation on the matter. This program is before Council, the SABC Council. It is on the agenda of Council for presentation to labor unions found in our environment, and that is the South African Police Union and POPCRU. We will not make drastic changes on a matter where we are supposed to be consulting without going through that consultation process. The basic training learning program forms an integral part to uplift the South African Police Service and to ensure safety in South Africa. All the academies follow the implementation strategy to ensure that training is conducted according to the ETD policy and all relevant ETD guidelines. Training is also delivered in a manner that these new recruits can be deployed to fulfill their functions according to the Constitution and to improve service delivery, safety and security in our country. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. We'll take the questions. The first two, Marianne and Paul, followed by Chantal. And, okay, let's take those three now.
Hi, Marianne Merton, Daily Maverick. To the Minister, please. Expression of concerns aside, you confirmed that the case has been registered. The ANC mentioned that they laid a charge of treason. Could you indicate whether it is the detectives at Hillbrow Police Station that are investigating, or whether that case is referred to some other unit, the Hawks, Crimes Against the State, or whatever is appropriate? To the Acting National Police Commissioner, you've not had a very easy time, particularly with Pop Crew. And it was Pop Crew that blew the lid on the changes to the training regimen. I'm not quite sure whether I got you right, that the new training programs have been implemented as of 1st April. Yet, the process of consultation hasn't actually been completed, as you are just now indicating that the documents are before Council for presentation to the unions. So you're implementing something that you're supposed to consult on, but you haven't actually consulted on, although you've logged the changes for discussion at Council at some stage. Is this really the best way to go around institutional working professional relationships? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Minister. Paul Vecchiato from Bloomberg. Just quickly, I suppose following from Marianne's first question is, has the case that's been opened against Mr. Malema been assigned a high priority status, or is it just part of the normal police and investigating cases? Thank you.
Hi, Chantal from the African News Agency. I just wanted to know what exact charges are being investigated against Mr. Malema.
Something came up here earlier, and the State Security Minister also briefed it, and this matter came to the fore. And one of the questions that were faced were, now, is it a question of of having double standards? Because the leader of the ANC Youth League earlier in the year also advocated civil war, and nothing was done with regards to him. So why is he allowed to go scot-free, but Malema, who is an opposition leader, is now being targeted, if I can put it like that? And just with an eye on the elections, how sensitive are you to dampening the fires and the rhetoric and all of that? Because, as you correctly say in the beginning, it does have the potential to cause lots of trouble if it's not handled correctly. So how do you balance that, the need for the investigation, but also the need not to heighten sensitivities in the run-up to the municipal elections? Thanks.
Okay. No, thank you very much. That's a very interesting question, by the way, the last intervention. Let me just say that the matter now is now being investigated by the Hawks. It falls under, all the other definition and categories in terms of what the matter is alleged to have been said and or done and so on. So now the Hawks are now investigating that matter. But let me also directly just link it to the gentleman here in the front. The reason why the Hawks are investigating the matter is precisely because there has been a complaint registered with the Hillbrow police station. Now, I'm not too sure, for an example, that in the case of, I don't know who the person was, but you say he was a leader of the Youth League, made similar or more or less a kind of rebel-rousing kind of statements and so forth. I'm not sure whether anybody, for instance, ever complained and laid a charge at a police station. So in this case, in this particular instance, we are following through on a complaint that has been brought to the fore. I think, generally speaking, I've addressed the question of how, in a sense, we need to address ourselves as South Africans to the expression and exercise of the rights that we have in the democratic context. For example, I think I've said quite sufficiently there. But there's a view that I don't subscribe to. That if, and in fact, because I've had this view in other instances where there have been issues relating to issues of whether investigation and or follow-ups by the police and so on. I don't subscribe to the view that if you have something that is allegedly wrong or out of line, nothing should be done about that, because if you do that, you are likely to upset the other issues as perhaps you are trying to allude to and so forth. I think it will always help us as society to stick to matters of principle, for an example. If there are allegations must be dealt with. If there are issues of whether suspicion and any other thing, for that matter, I think it is to the benefit of society and the system of democracy that such matters are indeed followed through and dealt with, so that we lay them to rest and so on. Otherwise, we'll end up with a situation where, because of the so-called other sensitivities, for an example, that which must then be satisfied either from a legal point of view, constitutionally and or otherwise, it's not done because we're trying to nurse certain things and so on. I think it will be an incorrect and an imbalanced sort of approach, really, to issues of investigation. Lastly, it will also help us, whether we are writers of newspapers and or journalists of any nature, or politicians for that matter, that now we have reached a particular point where a complaint has been registered and an investigation is being conducted and pursued in whatever form, that we give that exercise the designated and correct space for an investigation to go on and unearth whatever it needs to unearth, for an example, so that indeed at some point we are able to pronounce correctly what is it that, because for now these issues remain allegations, because it is alleged that these statements were made and so forth. So they remain allegations up until a point where an investigation would establish a relative sort of fact, really, whether indeed these allegations are correct and are they true, and if they're not, they're not, and so on. And then, of course, the law will essentially take its own course at that particular level. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Minister. On the issue that Marianne raised, first, we don't have control over who is saying what and where. We can just manage the facts, and that's why we are here, to communicate the facts around training. And for me, what I'm grateful of is the focus that the South African Police Service have in ensuring that we execute our policing mandate. So you cannot allow yourself to be distracted by utterances that are not helpful in what we are trying to do as the South African Police Service. I, in any event, do not want to stoop low and consider those to be personal attacks. We are in the South African Police Service and will continue to do that what is expected of us. In respect of consultation, first, you don't negotiate a training program. A training program follows a research and what the needs are to get the people operational ready. There is a process that is being followed to determine the curriculum, ensure that the contents are responsive to the needs on the ground. That has been done. What is a matter of consultation is not the content of the training. It is a memorandum of understanding that we enter into with the individual trainees. That is what is before council, not the content of the training. And it is before council because trade unions have got interest in there, because in there is provision for their right to organize employees. It is for that reason that we won't tamper with that memorandum of understanding without going through the process of consultation. So the trainees did not sign a new memorandum of understanding because it would have been wrong to make them sign something which is not yet consulted. So that is why it is before council. So if whatever noises were made were around the changed memorandum of understanding, there would have been some justification. So for now, it is just too foreign that you have got hullabaloo from an uninformed perspective in terms of what we are trying to do to improve on the quality of trainees that the academies are producing. And maybe people forget very easily. When I was the head of basic training and General Kruse was the divisional commissioner of training, we were taken to court because the memorandum did not provide for labor to organize. At that time, it was labor who said, you can't keep these people for 2 years as trainees. That's when we went into the new arrangement of allowing them the right to organize. So we are now following up on that which was made visible to us much more earlier and beefing up the dispensation of training. That is why now the trainees that are in college, by the time they leave college, we will have appointed them on a probation period as constables. So they will be better remunerated at the end of their training to be able to cope with the demands out there, as in accommodation and all other benefits that they require. So we are of the view that the change is beneficial to the trainees, beneficial to us as the South African Police Service. Most importantly, will benefit the country because you have got a better product emerging out of the colleges. Thank you.
Let me just check if there's somebody up there in Pretoria, awake at least.
There's no journalist here in Pretoria.
Thank you. Andy, Paul, and that will be it. Thank you.
Are you? Oh, sorry.
Andisiwe Makina from City Press. Minister, mine is just a question of clarity on this Julius Malema matter. You said the Hawks will investigate the allegations, if they are true or not. What allegations? Because there was a television interview And he said what he said. So what allegations are you talking about? And also I'd like to know, what is the charge? Is it treason? And based on what exactly did he say, then that would lead to whatever charge you're charging him with. Thanks.
Thank you. Minister Paul from Bloomberg again. Minister, early on today, your colleague, the Minister of State Security, told us it was his organization that laid the charges, which means the ruling ANC, of which you're a member. As a politician, speaking as a political head of the police service, would it not have been better for the ANC to engage with the EFF about this rather than lay a criminal charge? I mean, politicians should be far more used to verbal sparring and that kind of thing, and debate and open debate, rather than looking at laying criminal charges against someone because they said something. Thank you.
Do you want me to respond? I think I should.
Let's take Rahim. Rahim, okay with that.
No, she's fine.
Please respond.
She's fine. Let me start with the with the last question. Just for your benefit, I don't define myself as a politician, by the way. I'm a social activist. So I draw the distinction between the two, but some other day I'll tell you what the distinction is, essentially, between politicianism and being a social activist. Now, you know, and I think we should also take into account here that we're dealing with legal issues. Now, legal issues, they tend to be prescribed in law, for an example. If somebody walks into a police station and says, I'm here to complain about this and that and this and that and so forth. Now, the state institution such as the police, it has a duty to follow through on such a complaint, for instance, in terms of investigation and so on. What the investigation may yield and may not yield and so on, it's a different matter altogether. But it has an institutional duty, a legal duty, to follow through and investigate. So that's what it is. So I'm then saying that in terms of what you have just raised, we should also take into account that that's how institutions, particularly legal institutions, that's how they work. Now, but the point that I've just also raised, perhaps, does also deal with the issue that is raised by City Press. Now, it can never be correct that that which is being said on television and or radio is factual. You can't just simply assume that indeed it is so because it was said on television and or radio and so forth. I mean, and that's why, for instance, when we say it's allegations, again, that's a term recognized by law that you can't establish fact unless that fact has been properly investigated, unless the fact is produced by the fact that there has been investigation. And after investigation, perhaps formal charges would have been proffered and so forth. Thirdly, that you would have had a court hearing and a court exercise over that particular issue. That in itself then establishes the fact. So once it starts off like an allegation, yes, but once it's processed through investigation and a court exercise, eventually when it lands there, it ends up not being an allegation but a sentence, for an example, because you would have had a ruling by a duly constituted court of law, for an example, to hear on the matter. So it is correct. It is a correct approach that such matters must then be subjected to investigation. And of course, it is up to that investigation, not even up to that investigation. It's largely what that investigation would then lead up to, for an example, whether it is factually correct that those issues were said in the manner in which they are alleged to have been said, amongst other things, and what else is involved in relation to that, and then, of course, deal with the issue. This question has been asked several times, even though it's not specifically in relation to this thing. And I've been trying to clarify this thing. Now, Marianne will also know what I'm talking about, because even last week we were talking about the same thing. The question that says, what charge are you investigating? And the question is, how do you investigate a charge? Because a charge is a product of an investigation. So you can only investigate an allegation or a complaint or whatever the issue would be. And then that in itself would then give you some tentative basis on which to then say, because of some prima facie kind of basis of issues, and in law, this matter is defined as this particular charge. Okay, then it's taken through to the next stage being a court process, and so it goes. So I'm saying I do want to clarify this point. A charge is always a product of an investigation, but you can't investigate a charge per se. So I thought, let me also just try and clarify that particular point. I'm not sure whether I'm leaving anything out, but I think I have. Thanks.
Okay,
I said no, but I changed my mind. Minister, just for clarity, if you don't mind, is the complaint that was laid against Mr. Malema, is it high treason? Just so that we understand, we know it's not a charge, but is it a complaint of high treason?
Okay.
Lula Mamaja, SABC. I follow up to that, Minister. If it is high treason, also, can you just tell us the minimum or maximum sentences that goes with if you found guilty of high treason? And secondly, on the COPE matter that was raised earlier on, are you aware of any case that was opened in Pretoria by COPE leaders against the Youth League president?
No. It's a follow-up. No. Minister, please answer no.
You want me to help you? Absolutely not. I refuse to help you. Let me stress this point. An investigation, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, and how you want to categorize a particular allegation and so on. It really doesn't matter. It's the same thing that can be said by any one of you here. If I were to say something and then you say, like you always usually do, and say, yeah, but that's unlawful, that's unconstitutional, and so on, and that you know very well that it's only a duly constituted court of law that can arrive at such a conclusion, amongst other things, not anybody else. Now, so it doesn't matter what you actually call it. The point is, it is only an investigative process that will eventually lead to a point of categorization in terms of whether is it high treason and whether it's constituted under crimes against the state or any other. For an example, it's the process of investigation that essentially will do that. So a complainant will always express a view, but if you say something like this, it means this or something like that. But that will essentially be just that. So again, our point is simple. Now that there is an investigation, let's give the investigation a chance, and let's see what that investigation actually effectively yields. On the COPE matter, I don't know COPE matter what you are referring to, but I can only suspect that we are still talking to the issue of what the leader of the Youth League was alleged to have said and so forth. I think I did clarify earlier on that I certainly, unless somebody is able to clarify this point on our side, whether or not was there somebody who laid a complaint, for an example, and lodged a grievance with specifically, not grievance, a complaint with a particular police station in the country, and so on, and then what happened to that and so forth. All I was trying to say earlier on was to say that draw the distinction between the two, because the gentleman was saying to me, yeah, but that's what the other youth league person said at some point and so on. And why didn't you investigate? And I'm saying why investigating in this particular instance precisely because you now have a complainant that walked into a police station, Hillbrook police station, and complained. And that's what we are then doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long day. Yes.
All right, and those were live visuals from the Imbizo Centre out in Parliament, where Police Minister Nathi Nhleko was briefing members of the media. He started by confirming that a case has been opened against DFF leader Julius Malema for his inflammatory statements relating to the removal of government through the barrel of a gun. He has